Hi, everybody. Um, Thank you so much for joining us for the Empowerment Series. I have to tell you, I am so thrilled at the reactions I am getting from so many of you. They are meaningful. You're saying that this is meaningful and impactful, and that's meaningful, really meaningful to me. So thank you all for your wonderful words of encouragement. And um, as you know, what this series is talking to our great business civic leaders about when was the moment and why did they bet on themselves. And so I'm so excited to have my wonderful friend, Sharmain Matlock-Turner, who is the CEO of the Urban Affairs Coalition. And Charmaine, first of all, welcome. I'm so happy you're on. You know that I hope I'm the president of your fan club because I think you're awesome, as I think I've told you way too many times.
Right. Well, as
But
you know, I think you're awesome. You're awesome too. Just remember that we honored you at our 53rd anniversary breakfast because you are awesome as well. So it's terrific to be a colleague and a friend and to really know you and to have your support. So thank you.
well, back at you. It was a great honor for me. So, and one of my favorite things is my friendship and partnership with you. So, Charmaine, and let me just say, can I just say, Charmaine, if it's okay? So just to backtrack for a second about Charmaine and the great civic leaders that she is, I don't know, over a decade ago, maybe, I was watching this like amazing woman, you, and thinking, she had, you know how what do they say? You walk in the room and everybody listens. That was Charmaine. And I was like, and she's like affecting all of these lives and just having such an extraordinary impact in her role and as a leader. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a chance and invite her to lunch and see if she says yes. Do you remember?
I
And
do.
yeah, and you were like, yes. And from that moment on, I was like, I mean, I knew before, but even more so, I was like, this is a very special person. So I hope I'm not embarrassing you, but
No, absolutely not. I remember that lunch myself because I was like, oh my goodness, Sue Jacobson has invited me to lunch. Wow, this is going to be exciting. So, yes,
we had a great time.
absolutely.
And so and as we just share very similar feelings and passions about how we can help the city. And when as a member of the executive board of the chamber, when I was chair, you jumped right in. And if you remember, a big focus during COVID when I was chair and you were on the executive board was making sure that Black and brown businesses who were disproportionately affected by COVID the business community took care of them. And the business community, I think you agree, Charmaine, really jumped in and did that
Oh,
and joined us.
absolutely. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you and
And
I,
the
yes,
whole work around equity
yes.
and equitable development and really making sure that we have an inclusive economy is I believe your legacy because we still today at the chamber make sure that that is an important part of what it is that we're doing.
Well, thank you, and hey, thank you for obviously again for your leadership. And so that is a perfect segue into because you have a really fascinating background that I've heard several times when you've spoken to me and to large groups about, you know, y- what made you the great leader you are. And so my question to you is when was that moment when you bet on yourself and why did you do it?
Well, I always found myself initially, I just saw myself as someone who got things done. If I committed to something, I was going to get it done. And that came from a fear initially of, I remember being in high school and I was supposed to have finished a project. And I just woke up in the middle of the night because I hadn't finished it. Got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and made sure that I got it done. So I always had this thing about if I was supposed to get something done, I needed to ultimately get it done. One other time that this reared its ugly head was I was working on my first political campaign. I was working for a friend of mine who I went to high school with, who I ended up working for. But I had, at that time, if anybody remembers on this, 3x5 cards. So I had taken the 3x5 cards to call and invite people to come and attend the sort of kickoff for the campaign. And I said, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll get that to that tomorrow. And then I realized I was like just a couple of days out and I had not made these calls. And so I made calls all day, into the night, all day, did follow-up phone calls. We had so many people at the announcement, we did not have enough seats in the room. And so that has always been with me that if you say you're going to do something, get it done, even if you don't do it always on time, don't give up on yourself and don't give up on ultimately getting things done. So
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And my question to that is that work ethic. I know you've talked, I think, about your grandmother. Was it having this huge impact on you? Did she have that work ethic? Is that where the origins of how you feel about let's get it done? Because it's true, you're not just about strategy, you're about implementation. And that's
exactly.
that's the deadly duo, right? That's what makes it so effective.
Right, right. I
Was it your
call
grandmother, do you
yes,
think?
it was my grandmother, but also my grandfather
Mm.
and my mom. Uh, every summer, I got a chance to go to Virginia and spend the summer with my grandparents. That gave my mother a chance to have a break. And so we had a chance to, I mean, it was unbelievably freeing because it wasn't like in the city where I could only stay on my block or I could only go around the corner or go between my house and church and house and school. I could like roam what I call the mountains
Right.
of Virginia. And as long as I got back in time for dinner to help my grandmother with dinner, life was good. But what was really strong about her was that she always says, look, I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world. I'm short. But I believe that it is important to feel good about who you are and what you are. And so I'll never forget, I remember going to a store, and at this time, there's still a lot of segregation between Black and white people in this part of Virginia, right outside of Charlottesville. And I'll never forget being at the store, and the clerk said to my grandmother, "Oh, hello, Aunt Rosa." And she sort of turned around and said, "You realize I'm not related to you, right? I am married to this gentleman over here, Mr. Burton. So I am Mrs. Burton. So, you know, if you greet me, call me Mrs. Burton." And I mean, I just remember, seeing that level of pride that she showed in that instance was something that made me sit up taller and feel better that, you could stand up for yourself and you could do it in a really smart way through language. You didn't have to get into a fight or a tussle or whatever. You could really be able to change a situation by having the right words and being able to tell the right story.
She obviously I can't speak for her, but wow. I mean, think about did she get to see the impact you've made on the fifth largest city in the country? I hope she did because
No, unfortunately, yeah,
mm,
unfortunately, she didn't get a chance to do that. She and my grandfather both passed away while I was still in college.
mm.
But she did know that I was an activist in college, that I was a part of student government in high school. Like I've always been a doer, someone who has been saying, okay, what can we do? How can we make things better? And I believe that I can be a part of that, and I can do some things and get some things done. And one of the things Sue, you may have heard the mayor say it, Mayor Parker, and some others say they teasingly call me the general, because that was the title I got when I was working on campaigns and working for the legislative side of government, because I could organize people and I could ultimately help us get through and get to the work that we wanted to get done.
Well, thank you, General. I know I'm gonna copy that, so I love it. So Charmaine, just give for folks, and almost everybody knows about the Urban Affairs Coalition, but just give us a snapshot of the amazing impact that your organization has.
Well, Sue, one of the really great decisions I made in my life was to throw my hat in the ring after a group of wonderful women, I want to say, that encouraged me to apply for the president and CEO of the Urban Affairs Coalition. Even though I had the title of general and I'd done a lot of things in other places, it really was the first time I was going to be leading a 501(c)(3) organization myself. And so having that kind of support from the community was great. I ended up being the first woman to be hired as the CEO of the Urban Affairs
And
Coalition.
it's 55 years at the
And it's
coalition,
right, it's a
yeah.
55-year-old
So it's
year-old
a storied
organization.
institution,
Right.
yep.
Exactly. I'm the fourth leader of the organization. And it's a really terrific and wonderful place where people can come together and really work on issues that are facing the community. We serve as what we say is a home for nonprofits, where nonprofits can come. We help them with their business services side of the work so that they can really focus in on the reason that they really want to do this work, and that is the mission of the work. But we also serve as a convener, collaborator, connector. We serve on major boards and committees so that we can bring our perspective and our voice to the issues facing Philadelphia, and to be a part of not only what I call not just articulating the problem, but being a part of solving and finding and building permanent solutions.
Yes. And that's why you and your organization are the preeminent leaders in the space. You're the go-to place. So thank you for explaining to everybody what many of us know, but some don't. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sue.